What's good, everybody? DJ Checkromancer here. When I'm not behind the DJ decks, I'm talking about games, tech, and more. Internet's on storm right now about how Baldur's Gate 3 has made a game with no microtransactions, and they're not trying to nickel and dime anybody and all that. And a lot of other studios are saying that no, this is not great, so forth, so on. How dare you do that? Hold up. Let's be honest here. I've been saying for years that I don't like the practices of how microtransactions came from mobile gaming into our regular games and basically ruined how developers develop games. Even though I know some of it is on the publisher end, trust me, EA. But anyways, and now we have a developer and a publisher that's basically made a game for the community and made a great game for the community, I might add. I plan to get it soon. I got other games I got to play. I'll be playing Fire Rubicon next week. Stay tuned for that. I'll definitely be putting footage out for that. And I'll get Baldur's Gate at some point because I want to support what they did. They gave you a complete game. No microtransactions, no DLC. Even if the game came out with DLC, I would support it. But I talked about that in a moment. And it brings this whole discussion about, do we deserve more in our games? And I've been saying for years, yes, we do deserve more in our games. So, as you know, I live in the fighting game space, even though I play all types of games, first-person shooters, RPGs, so forth, so on. But I live in the fighting game space. And first thing I knew when fighting games was changing was back. I remember this. Back when we had dislocked content. That was my joke. DLC. It was Marvel versus Capcom, the original, not Ultimate. And characters were on the disc, but they were locked, and you had to pay to unlock them. It was like, bruh, what? Bruh, what? Why can't you just give me the characters? So, yeah. And don't get me wrong. In today's development and game space and everything, the idea of DLC is actually a good thing. And actually, I do not have a problem with microtransactions as long as it's cosmetic changes and as long as you're not trying to nickel and dime someone. Let's talk about Street Fighter 6 for a moment. Can we? Now, a lot of you, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know my history since Street Fighter 5. I got burnt on Street Fighter 5. I bought it day one. And a lot of you remember how Street Fighter 5 started, but it became a better game later. And it was weird. Like, for me, during that whole point in time, I went from a diehard Street Fighter player to kind of like more like a filthy casual. Yeah, I know, but it's true. Only because I didn't like how the game was handled. Now, 6, and remember, I did skits about this. 6, I was skeptical. I didn't want to touch the game and all that. I was invited to play both betas. I played the betas and I was like, maybe I'm wrong, but I also know stuff changes from beta and full release, and I was glad I was wrong. Street Fighter 6 is a good game. It's a good product, and I've been playing it a lot more. However, this recent thing with the Ninja Turtle skins, come on, guys. you had a lot of us that was watching Evo and was excited to see the collab between Street Fighter and Ninja Turtles. And now the contents in the game and these skins are expensive. So expensive that there are people in the Street Fighter game that instead of wanting to buy the skins, they are trying to come up with their own ways to make the Ninja Turtle costumes in the game creator. That is crazy. Bro, guys. Now I understand there might be something with the contract to use the license in the Ninja Turtles to where you have to make so much profit and you have to give so much for royalties for the license and all that. All that I understand. But it's getting out of hand. Let's be honest. The price is too much. It's too much. And this goes back to what I started with, Baldur's Gate. Do we just deserve more for a game? So let me talk about a fighting game that handled DLC and microtransaction perfectly because they gave you more for your money. Got to talk about the Microsoft version of Killer Instinct. When that game dropped, it dropped as a free-to-play game, but you could also pay to get all the roster. And they did a weekly rotation, or was it a monthly? I'm trying to remember, because I know DOA did weekly. I think it was weekly, not monthly, but they did a rotation and everything to let you try other characters and all that, and it was great. Now, if you bought the game, of course, you got all the characters, you can play story mode, all that stuff. But what I liked was, all right, that was Zero season. Then it came out with season 1, which with extra characters and stuff like that. What I liked what Killer Instinct did versus any other fighting game out there, trust me, I've played them all, minus a set few. I still don't get Grand Blue Fantasy. I know, sue me. And I still don't get Strive, but I played Strive, so you can't hurt me on that one. Is what I like what Killer Instinct did was they said, all right, new season's out, we have new characters, but it's not just that we did new characters and balance changes and all that. You also can get additional story. So you had a story arc from the first season to the second season. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I wish more games would do that. They don't. It's all about just characters and stuff like that. And I would like to see more of that. That idea was really cool because it was like, hey, we're not just giving you extra characters. We're going to give you extra content to explore more of the psyche and all that of your characters. I know some of y'all don't play story. I understand. It's all good. Y'all just want to get online, beat people's heads in. It's all good. But from a content standpoint, from someone that might not be ready to jump on and be an online warrior yet and trying to get their bearings, they can practice in the story and all these other modes. Get good and then eventually get online. And I like that Killer Instinct, the team of Iron Galaxy thought about it and extended that universe. And I really loved how Killer Instinct approached modern style gaming. But that's also because Killer Instinct started as a free-to-play game, but you could purchase everything. And I'm curious to see what happens with Project L when it finally launches, because Project L is also supposed to be a free-to-play fighting game. So I'm curious to see how they're going to monetize it and everything to make a return and a rate of investment on the game. So We have to wait until Project L gets released and see it and all that from there. But if you have more of your games going like that, where okay, they're not nickel and diming you, you get something for your money, and you felt like you're satisfied with a complete package of your game, I think you'll have less and less people complaining. But I also know we live in an interesting time of you have AAA studios trying to nickel and dime you, but you also got free to play games that's also trying to make their money back for development. So, what should we have? Should we have more of our games free and then y'all give us microtransactions so that way development could be made back? Or should we be paying 60, 70, 120? Let's be honest, if you want that deluxe edition, it's money for a complete game and extra content, but yet you still got microtransactions in the game. And it's like, what is going on? I remember back when MMOs first came out, and I took a stance back when MMOs first came out. It was like, look, I am not going to pay a monthly subscription to play a game. So as much as, and I did play WoW for a little bit when they did that, so many levels free and stuff like that. My friends was really trying to get me to go get on this server and all that stuff. But I was like, nope, I'm at the max level. I'm not going to pay month to month. Sorry, that's not me. I prefer, and this was me taking a stance on MMO, you either give me, either I pay the game and I play it for the rest of the entirety, or it's free and you can microtransaction me. But I'm not going to pay the game and pay a monthly subscription. No, that is just too much money. So I took a stance back then. And as y'all know, I, on this channel, even though I do a lot of fighting games, I also like to highlight really cool free to play games, because I realize, and there's a lot of you out there that watch this channel that are younger, I realize that in the current gaming industry, free to play is going to be the future of development, because free to play games are more accessible to little kids and everything. It lets people dive into the game, play it, and then if there's some type of mechanic that they need to monetize, then you can decide eventually, do you want to pay for it or not? Plus, let's look at a lot of the esports titles. A lot of the esports titles, they're free to play, and they just monetize skins and all that stuff, and battle passes, which I have a problem with that. Even Street Fighter now has a battle pass. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm kind of like anti battle pass right now. It's like, guys, stop. It's one thing to be like, okay, you're free to play game, we have skins and all that stuff for you to buy and all that, and I can choose to buy. But when you start doing battle passes on top of it, it makes it gives people that itch of, oh, now don't get me wrong, I see y'all. I understand that you do, well, we do free battle passes too. I get that. But when a person sees what they get in the free tier and then they see what they get in the paid tier, it gives person that itch, like, I gotta buy the battle pass. I gotta buy the battle pass. I don't get as much good stuff in the free tier versus the premium tier. And this is the problem. You're playing on a lot of our psyches. Stop it. If you're going to do a battle pass, do a battle pass. Don't make it premium and just give us the stuff. I'm okay for working for it. As you've seen, I'm the number one guy that will go into a game and be like, oh, free to play, you got all this stuff. I'm going to test to see how much content that I can get for free, and is it actually free before I have to fork out $1 to get those level gains. I am the number one guy, and I've proved time and time again that if you're willing to put in effort, you can do a lot of stuff for free in a lot of these games. So, do we deserve more? Yes, I definitely believe I deserve more. But I also understand free to play studios got to make their money somehow. But Baldur's Gate is not a free to play studio, it's a AAA studio. So all these comments on Twitter about Baldur's Gate from these AAA studios, you all just been put on notice. Because Baldur's Gate has said, yo, people deserve what they get for what they pay for. And we do not need to burn our player base's wallet. And I like that. So let me talk about a game, RPG, and I've played it on and off, that handled DLC the best. Fallout 3. Fallout 3 handled DLC the best. All because it said, and yes, I know, if some of y'all know, wait, Bree, you're a Borderlands fan. Why are you saying Fallout versus Borderlands? I do love Borderlands, and I love the DLC in Borderlands. But I like how Fallout did it as a storytelling element. You play the base game, and in the base game, you hear about these other areas, but you can't go to them. It gets mentioned in the story here and there, like little drops here and there. And then, when they designed the DLC, it was like, oh, you can finally go to these areas that were mentioned throughout the story. And I thought that was really cool as a storytelling element. And I wish more DLC got handled that way. Use it as a tool, not just to expand your game world, but as a storytelling element to make the players want to go to that spot. And then, you know, more people will be willing to buy the DLC, so forth and so on. So yeah, I really like that. And if Baldur's Gate, even though it's a complete game, if those guys said, hey, we're going to drop a DLC and we're going to give you so much content in that DLC, best believe your boy will be willing to drop money on that, because they initially gave you a complete game with no microtransactions. And to me, they value my pocket, my wallet, and the fact that if they did come out with a DLC that was also fully enriched and valued my pocket and wallet, I'd be willing to support that. So it's all matters of what you're willing to support out there, my fellow gamers. Do you feel like you deserve a complete game? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys. I'm done with my rant for today, for the week. Even though I'm really liking that this has happened, because this is a discussion that I go back with a lot of my friends and stuff since this whole microtransaction thing has started. And we really do need to see a pendulum switch in how game development is being handled and everything. So, okay, guys, until next time, peace, love, stay gaming, my friends.